We are talking about Quantum Leap, episode 7 of season 1, titled O Ye of Little Faith. This is the Halloween episode, the exorcism episode, the Christ compels you episode. But so much more this episode was actually laid down for us because we got information, a little information on the B story. And I gotta say, I think that our most recent theory is shaping up to be pretty, or at least accurate for now. And I'm saying that because if you look at, if you've seen our last video, and if you haven't, after this review, please go check it out. We actually mentioned Janis coming back and co-opting the system to try to warn Ben. And we actually say, and I'm going to play it for you right now, Shane says in his beautiful narration voice that she's not able to get the warning out before she glitches out. And that's exactly what happened last night. And it was awesome.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, so definitely, if you get a chance, we're going to have the link down below. If you haven't seen this video yet, it's on our main channel, the Popcast. And we're going to put a link in the description below so that you can go and see this after this video is over.
And this is what
program, but probably knows more about it than anyone else. He is equipment, and that she'll just, as the story unfolds,
here we go.
The truth about where Ben is going, and use the imaging chamber she has built and her father's old hand link. Addison will glitch out, confused as to what's happening as Janice takes over.
When I
but
saw
she
this,
only has a moment to warn him. It's not what we thought, Ben. They are the...
Boom! What we predicted. So far, the first part of our theory is accurate. We'll see if it continues that way. And if you haven't seen the video, go watch it for yourself. We have a really good idea of what's going to happen this season, and we're hoping that Dr. Sam Beckett's involved. And I think that that Shane's theory is rock solid. So go watch it.
Yeah, and if you were waiting, if you're kind of watching this stuff and you're like, well, I'm not watching it because Scott Bakula's not on the show. I don't think it's beyond beyond his ability to be on the show. I know somebody on Twitter was kind of coming at me about it, and they were saying that, well, Scott's too busy. He's doing his, was it Unbreakable or whatever it is?
He's not doing that show.
We're right, and he's also doing a movie, which is a Soderbergh film that's a low budget kind of film festival kind of film. All that stuff's done, so he can definitely come and record the next 6 episodes or the final 6 episodes with the extension that they got. So it could happen. We're not saying it is going to happen. Hopefully, I firmly believe it's a money thing. The reason why he's not there. I think they, when you look at the cast and how much they're probably paying everybody, these are all fresh-faced actors, pretty much, except for Ernie Hudson. So they probably just didn't want to pay Scott what he wanted. I mean, that's my guess. I don't know for a fact, but I can't see any other reason because his Instagram post was so cheeky because he says, I guess we're going to find out with him not being, everybody who's wondering what's going to happen with Quantum Leap with me and on the show, I guess we're going to find out. So yeah, it was almost sounded like he wanted to do it, but the deal couldn't be met. And I think that's what happened.
Right. Yeah. So also, let's quickly button this before we get into the episode. People saying that Scott has gone on record to say that he didn't like the new show. That's just patently false.
Who's saying that? You saw it somewhere?
Yeah, there's multiple Twitter people saying, "Oh no, he doesn't even like the new show. He's gone on record saying he doesn't like the new show." He has not. He only put out one Instagram post, and it was before the show even aired. And it was actually weirdly ominous. We made a whole video about it. It was almost like, it felt more like a publicist kind of post where they were utilizing Instagram to either get a deal they wanted or not. So, in our opinion, the extension actually is a big deal because A, it's rare that shows get extensions, and why? Are they giving an extension so that they can button up the story, or are they giving an extension so that they can add Scott Bakula? Consider this for a moment. Those episodes aren't shot. They got an extension, and now they're going and shooting the episodes in the middle of this season.
Right.
It's not like, oh, here's an extension to use 6 episodes you already have. No. These are 6 brand new episodes. They're adding to the story in real time.
It's such a huge deal, Brian, because I mean, it says one thing very clearly. There's a purpose for it. They do not give you 6 extra episodes to go create in the middle of the season if they don't have a purpose for those. So right. Either Belisario or Givo or somebody went over, or Giro went over and said, look, here's what we want to do with 6 more episodes. And this is the story we're going to tell. And the network said, okay, yeah, your numbers are great. We like it. Go do it. We don't know if that's going to have Scott Bakula in it, but it definitely means there's a purpose to it. And if you watch that video, I think we actually break it down for you.
Yeah. And it's really important to know that they are actively shooting 6 new episodes. So it's entirely also possible that they worked out a deal with Scott and he's now being added to the back end of the show. Maybe it was going to be left open. Maybe it was going to be left open before and now it's not. I don't know.
That'll take us some time for us to find out. And also a good point here. We just got notified in the members chat here that the audience score is up 5 points from the last time we asked people to go. And if you like the show, give it a positive score on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's good.
So on that note, if you want to be a member, there'll be a link also in the description to the members section, and you'll get these reviews live right after the show airs, the day after the show airs.
And we talk about it together.
Yes, we do. Yeah, in the member section. Anything else you want to talk about this episode before we start?
No, let's go.
Okay. So this episode did conclude, and I'm going to pull up that screen right now. It did conclude with him jumping from San Francisco into the body of a priest. I'm going to show it to you right now. And you know what's really interesting for me, and we're going to go through the story, but I almost was more interested in the B story than the A story. Is that weird?
You're talking about you're more interested in what was happening with who he's looking for?
Right, at HQ versus what was happening with the exorcism to a degree.
I wasn't actually. For the first time, I was actually more focused on the A story because it was a mystery and I was just intrigued by the mystery. And I didn't feel like there was a whole lot happening at headquarters, to be honest with you.
Interesting. Yeah, I want to know why she couldn't get in. I knew it had something to do with Janice. Maybe that's why.
Well, we got that at the end, but yeah, I don't feel like it was kind of weird. I felt like we spent more time in the A story this week than we did any other week.
We did. Maybe that's why it left me wanting more of the B story.
Yeah, wanting more, definitely. I could see that.
Okay, so on that note, when we like something, we're going to give it an upvote. When we dislike something, we're going to give it a downvote. And at the end of the episode here, we're going to average those 2 numbers and give you a proper Popcast score. And here we go. Opening up with the leap from Frisco to a priest, I guess. It's a priest.
Yes. Yeah. Well, a priest, and we obviously went back in time here. We're in the time of the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. So we know it's the turn of the down in the 19th century,
1920s,
20s, 30s, whatever it is. 1920s, yeah. And what's interesting is this is there was an episode in the original Quantum Leap series called Boogeyman. Mm-hmm. Which was season 3. So this is kind of like a tradition that they do something kind of during this time. And I love that they're honoring the original series by having a Halloween episode, which is really cool.
Right. And so that's an upvote for me. Proper upvote. I like that they're honoring the original series. I like that it also, a lot of TV shows nowadays, they don't honor. They don't necessarily honor the shows that came before it. And I really miss the old I'm sorry. I had to fix something real quick. I miss the old I guess timely or topical, shows where they're like there's a Christmas episode, Thanksgiving episode, Halloween episode. I miss that a little bit. And I know that they're honoring the old show too, but like, oh hey, we're getting a Halloween episode around Halloween. Now, does it make it bingeable later on when like you're watching a Halloween episode in July? No, maybe not. But that's not what this is about. This is a real time entertainment, which is nice.
Yeah, and I feel like it was just honoring that tradition. So I'd like to give it a first vote up for that.
All right, we got our Stargate actress here from Stargate Universe.
Yes, we've got Elise Levesque, and she played Lola Gray, who's the mom.
Yep, and last week we got Joel States, so it looks like we're getting some Stargate alum, and you know how much we love Stargate on this channel.
That's right.
All right, so the premise here is that there is a teenager that is possessed, and her entire family's there, and they're worried about her. Her room smells like death, and she's all cut up and messed up. And her family is like either concerned or apathetic. It's very, very similar to like the movie Exorcist.
Yeah, it was a good play on Exorcist.
Right, which I liked. And they want the priest to come exorcise the demon from this girl. The girl was played by Amanda Carla, is that correct?
No, it was played by Carrie Metters. She played Daisy.
My bad. Thank you, Carrie Metters.
Aunt Tessa is the one that was Amanda Carlin.
Ah,
so the one who gets killed.
Yes, which I thought was great too. Anyways, okay. So in this episode, they've hired this priest to come exorcise the demon, and of course Ben is not a religious man. He's a scientist.
Right.
So this is different for him. It's a little odd. Addison is taking pleasure in his uncomfortable attitude. Now around this time, what happens is Addison starts to experience some difficulty, and we're going to see that coming up soon, where she just glitches out completely and leaves him high and mighty. And there's the demon possessed girl. I don't know how she got the cuts on the face. They never explained that. I guess she cut herself.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the cuts came. The cuts came in like The Exorcist because she was possessed. So like the cuts came naturally all over her body.
Oh, I see. But
yeah, it's called stigmata.
You're right. Okay, but she wasn't actually possessed here, so.
Right, which there is some confusing elements to this. But it's okay in the framework that it is, because the voice sounded very demonic. There were moments where what you end up learning about this thing, and I love this episode because it really is a mystery. And I love weekly shows in any situation where you're basically getting this mystery. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you get this whole unraveling, and so I was lost in it immediately, as opposed to these other shows where they're trying to like solve a problem or they're trying to help somebody. This was, a nice little Scooby-Doo episode.
Right.
And so it was great. But there were moments where it was like, is he hallucinating? After I saw the whole thing and went back to watch it a second time, because we learned kind of, what's going on here is there's a hallucinogen involved.
Right.
Right.
Right. But right away we don't see anything. So he is seeing things. He's not seeing anything until he drinks that gin.
Yeah.
Which is great because and I'm going to give this an upvote because I thought, are they going to lean into the supernatural aspect of the old show here? Or is there going to be a real reason as to why this girl is quote unquote possessed?
Right. That was what we're looking for.
And halfway through, I was actually on the fence. Like, are they going to lean into the supernatural stuff, or is he going to find a scientific reason for this?
Well, yeah, because we were seeing an actual demon floating around the room. So it was like, I'm like, wow, shoot, how are they going to explain this thing? He kept looking for science, but I'm like, how is he holding on to science when this is happening in front of him? So,
right. It was super clever that was Janice, by the way.
Yeah.
It just happened. It's a bad coincidence that it was happening right then.
Yeah.
So he starts. He's trying to fake it to make it here, but he's having a hard time, clearly. And
this is a great scene right here. Right here. He actually says, when the first time it happens and this thing rises up on the bed, he's like, "Oh hell no!" Right? And I actually laughed out loud when that happened, because he was Raymond Lee, who's playing this. I got to tell you, I'm getting more into Ben as we go. Like he's really playing it well. And I really felt like he was truly freaked out by what was happening in that moment.
I knew you would. I knew
Yeah,
you would.
that's
I knew
great.
you would end up liking that. And the acting on, I can't remember her name again. What's her name again?
Oh, the actress or the character?
The character,
Character's name is Daisy.
Daisy. So the acting of Daisy by Carrie Matters actually pretty damn good. I mean,
Yeah, she did a great job.
yeah, she pulls off the psycho look. Around this time is also when Addison glitches out, and she can no longer get to Ben. The system kicked her out. I got fascinated right here. So Ben is in a situation where there might be some supernatural elements, or there might not be. We do not know.
Right.
Addison no longer has connection to Ben. Ben has to now figure out this supernatural event on his own, and the B story kicks in, and she doesn't know why she's been kicked out of the system. So far, it's looking good. Also, it was interesting too when she came back and she was like, "Hello," and no one was answering her. I was like, "Why isn't anyone answering her?" I'm so glad that they didn't. I was like, "Are they going to dive into the whole like our theory that quickly?"
Yeah.
Is it going to happen the next episode? Because like,
It has to wait. It can't happen this soon, but yeah.
right. I'm glad that they found Ian. Ian has cat ears on because why not? I love that. By the way, I love that explanation too. I'm gonna give it an up though, because again, they're not leaning into the actors, personal pronouns and all that here. He's able to express himself through this character without it being heavy-handed. It's just part of the story, and it's very refreshing. Extraordinarily refreshing.
They're really handling it well.
They're really handling it well. Because that's a lot of the complaints I'm getting, like, "Oh, it's so woke," and I'm like, "Are we watching the same show?"
Yeah, it is really frustrating when people say that the show is woke, and it's not woke. Now, the casting is very specific, and I thought this was very interesting that people keep bringing up that the fact that there's no white guy, straight white guy that's on the show as one of the main cast. And the argument we had from the beginning was that we thought that left room for Scott Bakula to come in to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And, for whatever reason, it's possible that they are choosing not to put anybody in those roles. We saw the casting list. They didn't, you're right. There was nobody on there that they were asking for very specific things
Right.
from people. And you're right. None of it included that. But I'll say this, if that's what they chose to do, they definitely haven't gone down the road of being woke at all.
Not at all.
It doesn't feel that way in any way, shape, or form. We would be honest with you and tell you guys the truth. So if you don't like the casting, if you don't like all that stuff, that's one thing, but you can't call it something that it's not acting like. That's for sure.
Yeah. So the casting on paper certainly might look like it might be woke, but the show is not remotely woke. It's just about the story. It's a good story, and they're focusing on the story, and the casting just happens to be that way. And we'll see. It still might be that they're bringing Scott in. We're beating this dead horse. Go watch our video. It's entirely possible.
They wanted specifically. It is fair. They wanted the character specifically of Ben to be either Asian or Middle Eastern. That's what they wanted. They wanted that character. They had a vision for what they wanted that character to look like. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I'll tell you this: they found the right guy for the job.
And I gotta tell you, I've been to
Raymond Lee's
Caltech,
the right guy.
and the Caltech's physics department is like 87% Asian guys.
And so I would lean more towards that as being the reason.
Yeah.
That they made that choice as opposed to trying to make a point.
Right.
Which I think is what a lot of people are thinking. It's like, well, who are most of the people in this job field? And so he kind of fits the stereotypical look of that, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what? As like the computer hacker tech guy, I've seen a lot of people on the internet that look just like Ian. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
And people that were complaining about the magic casting, it's a throwback to original series. Like he's playing a character from the original series. Does no one not realize that?
Well, they're also, upset that Caitlin Bissett is playing, playing the Al character as a lady, and it's just like you just got to get past some of that stuff. You can't expect, you know, it to be Quantum Leap had a couple of guys in the beginning. Now it's only going to be a couple of guys. You know, I mean, it's just Addison. You know, frankly speaking, Caitlin's doing a great job as Addison, and you know, it's just go watch an episode. Go watch a season of Discovery. Star Trek Discovery, and then go watch this, and then you tell us what the difference is. That's as simple as I can say.
Yeah, and we have been on record multiple times complaining about how insanely woke and out of the story Discovery is. Not the case here. And Addison's doing great. You know, my biggest concern with this casting for Addison was that the actress had no back in history of acting.
Right.
Like, so she's pulling it off. I don't know if she's playing herself here, but she's doing great. Anyways, back to Ben. You know, he lost Addison. He's still trying to fake it. This doctor comes in, a man of science. So Ben's stoked. A man of science.
A doctor, yes.
A doctor. I actually love this too, because while initially he thinks he has an ally in the room, the guy proves, and I'm going to give it another upvote. I'm sorry, but I love this a lot. He proved right away that the doctors of his time may have been practicing science, but their science was definitely outdated when he says the only way to solve the problem is probably with a lobotomy. And you're like, well, let's not do that.
That's not a great idea.
Right.
But I also said, I like how the doctor says, you're part of the problem.
Right.
Right.
Because, yeah, you're making him think that's a demon, and he wants to find a rational explanation. It was really well done, and I love the way Raymond Lee pulled off that look when he realized that he also sort of like remembered that the doctors of that time were extremely archaic, almost barbaric. Even if their intentions were noble, their methods were certainly not modern.
Right.
He gives her a sedative, and now they can relax. And this was the first clue, and I love the way this played out. Because she calmed down, and she was talking to them rationally, her mother had soup brought up.
Yeah. Yeah, but we still hadn't tied anything to it.
Hadn't tied anything to it, but
they did. They were really careful about making sure all the facts lined up, and I love that about these shows. A lot of times you'll see shows like this, like force the plot to move a certain way with something, but they just kind of delicately hid the clues in there without us really realizing what was happening.
Right. It was very delicate. That's the right word. And you know, she eats the soup and she goes off the rails, and Aunt what's the name? Tessa Gray. Aunt Tessa gets brutally murdered. And
the doctor starts to think, yep.
And the doctor's like, well, how is that possible? Because there's no way this little girl could have lifted this woman and put her up there. And that was a great question. Mm-hmm. Right then, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Are they going the supernatural route? Because like they're spelling it out right now. Like, how could she have done that?
Yeah, so give me an upvote here, because they had me totally... I wasn't sure where they were going with it. And I love feeling that way when I'm watching a show.
Right, because you're expecting Ben to go science. But they are definitely dragging us down the supernatural route. And the old show had a little bit of supernatural flair to it, right? So sometimes. So it could have been something. Yeah, and I was stoked by this. And Ben was obviously shocked too. Like, okay, well, how does this work out? How does this work? How does this play? How is this possible? There's no rational explanation for this. The doctor starts to even get black-pilled that maybe it is a demon, right?
Yeah, but well, he's saying, how could she have lifted? There's no way she could have, lifted Aunt Tessa up there on the credenza.
And this is another clue, by the way. When someone died, the constable came, right?
Yeah,
this was actually another clue. Because Aunt Tessa died. They were able to get, they were able to bring the constable to get her body, right?
Mm-hmm. Why is that a clue?
Well, because when the phone is dead, later on, when the phone's dead and you can't call the police, right? And they fake her death so that the constable's called and the police come.
Oh, okay. I guess I didn't see it that way.
I'm assuming that's why Ben did that, because Ben couldn't get a hold of the police, so that was the point of the theatrics.
So he wanted, yeah, because then he decided to change his mind about what to do. He was going to call the police, I think.
Right, but the phone was dead.
The phone was dead, so he started asking questions, and then it changed. But yeah, I mean, you could have ran down the street and got the constable back then. So
I gotta be honest, I almost wanted to downvote this because they used Reddit.
I thought that was cool.
Right, so I'm not gonna downvote it, but the fact that they used Reddit initially was a bad taste in my mouth, and I realized that the reason it was is because I hate Reddit. But it's cool. And there's a lot of subreddits where people just investigate deaths and murders and stuff like that. So I get it. It made sense. It was cool. I almost wonder, is there a UDP forum out there I'm not aware of? I want to go look at that.
Unexplained demonic phenomena.
Right. I'm sure. I guarantee you this.
I'll find out right now.
There is now. If there wasn't, there is now.
Yeah, I'll find out first right now.
Because people make subreddits for the stupidest things. All right. I've seen a subreddit called "This Guy Wanted Me to Make a Subreddit." It was just like r/this guy wanted to make a subreddit. Is it out there?
I mean, unfortunately, it's like really long. Unexplained
demonic phenomena.
Nope, nothing there.
Make it. Make the subreddit.
I'm not making it.
Create the subreddit right now.
No, why? What would you put on it?
Stuff for our mystery channel. It's the mystery channel stuff.
A pass.
All right. Anyways, so basically they can't help him, so they're trying to look at what happened. They're trying to be aware of they're trying to follow the case via these these snoopers, whatever they're called, people that investigate old murders, because they can't get back to Ben because Ziggy's on the fritz. I'm assuming. That's what we know, right? Oh, Ben's talking. He decides to take him up on his offer to have some gin. He takes a drink, realizes he doesn't like it.
So wait, so this is a question. Now we've already did he have a sip of alcohol before?
Nope.
Did we miss it?
Nope.
So how did he experience that thing where she was off the bed and all that stuff and he wasn't hallucinating?
Well,
and he said
he isn't hallucinating until after. He isn't fully hallucinating until after the gin.
Well, he says, "Oh hell no," earlier.
No, that was the demon thing. That was actually Janis.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, he was seeing Janis, trying to break through. It was just unfortunate timing.
Did I miss that? Could you see it was Janis?
It was just like a black, it looked like a demon, but it was actually when Janis shows up, she shows up as that black mass.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. So
that was really clever. That's why I gave it an up. It was super clever. It was a very clever way of connecting these two stories. Also, it made you think, wait a minute, how is that working out? So he had the sips of gin. That's when he starts hallucinating.
Did you know it was Janet? Did you know it was Janice?
No, I didn't know it was Janis. I thought it was a demon. Yeah, I thought it was a demon. Yeah.
So what makes you think it's Janice now?
Because when Janis comes in at the end, it's that same black mass. She forms from it.
Oh, wow.
That's when you realize that black mass was her the whole time.
So the multiple times we saw it, was that?
Yeah, it was her trying to break through. She couldn't break through.
But they could have hit that on the head a little harder, I think.
They probably could have. But then again, I think they wanted you to think it was supernatural. So
no, at the end when she actually shows up.
Oh yeah, they should have made it.
Made it more.
I watched it 18 times, but they should have made it obvious when like maybe the demon was coming at him and then it forms into Janis.
Right, that would have been way better.
I've been trying to get a hold of you this whole time. Yeah.
So I'm going to downvote that because I did not know Janis was the demon the whole time.
Yeah, I'm going to upvote it because I thought it was super clever.
I mean, I didn't know, so how can I upvote it?
That's good. A good point. Yeah, I get you. All right, he starts hallucinating. He starts seeing weird stuff on the ceiling and all kinds of crazy nonsense. Plus the demon, of course. Actually, the demon is what makes him fall, remember?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so what happens was they also find the fish underneath the bed. And so right then is the first indication that something is afoot or is amiss. They do find out that the housekeeper is going to put it there because of, I guess, Yiddish tradition.
Yeah, so it's tradition to ward off evil. Yeah.
Right. So I guess that makes sense. Does she not realize that it was contributing to the demonic storyline here? I mean,
I guess not. Just because it smelled so awful.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys have never had like a decomposing fish in your room, I mean, it's bad.
Yeah.
Like it's an awful thing.
Yeah. Death smells horrible. All right. I'm actually gonna have a downvote here because I do feel like this didn't add to the story whatsoever. We went back and they were talking about like, I guess she was talking about her love of Ben and.
Yeah, this is a forced. We need to get a Jen in here.
Right.
Moment.
This
That
was
way.
unnecessary, and
Yeah, I agree.
we're
I'll downvote
honest.
it.
We're honest and we're critical. And I gotta tell you, this didn't add to the story whatsoever. This was just to get actor screen time or something. It did nothing. Wasn't important. And when that happens, that's downvote for me, dog, because it doesn't make any sense. But luckily, Quantum Leap, this version of Quantum Leap, has not been doing that. Any Quantum Leap doesn't do that, but
I think it's one of the only times I think it's happened.
yeah, it's the only time I can remember it being at least obvious where it didn't further the story at all. All right, so now Ben is fully, he thinks that there's a demonic possession because of what he saw.
Yeah, he's convinced now too.
Right.
Yeah. So they've done a good job. So kudos, vote up for me. They've done a good job of convincing Ben even. I'm convinced at this point myself.
I'm a little convinced too, so I'm going to upvote it. And he's like, I have no idea how to do this, but you know what? You do. And he's looking at the mirror and himself. So all he's got to do, and this is very scientific. This is what I got made up though. He goes, okay, what are the steps? What are the steps? The steps are in this book right here. I just got to go through the steps. That's it, right? That's what he would do. If this is real, then his abilities are real too. So let me just do what he does. Makes sense. It's a scientific process, which I like, He's still a scientist. I'm going to go through the steps and see if we can do an exorcism.
Yeah. And he sells out, man. He goes all in on it. But he takes some big old drink of gin first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which we now know is poison.
Which I still didn't know. We still didn't know at the time.
Right, we didn't. Yeah, we just saw this incredibly creepy. So good. I mean, power of Christ compels you. Does it, Jerry? Does it compel me? Like, that's all I can ever remember. That movie, This Is the End, where he was trained to exorcism Jonah Hill. All I can ever remember now when I see an exorcism. And she's floating. Wow, he's seeing it, man. Here we go. Here come the demon. And that is Janice.
So that's supposed to be Janice. Okay, so yeah, I don't feel like they did a good job with that.
Right.
That's a little frustrating.
It's entirely possible that like his mental state is adding to Janice trying to break through too.
Sure, yeah, but it happened earlier when he wasn't under the influence.
Right. So that's Janice, and it freaks him out, and he goes down. And he wakes up in a white room with Addison.
So he's in his own brain.
Right, he's in his own brain.
Essentially. Yeah.
Making out with Addison a little bit, and Addison's able to help him put the pieces together. Now, really, it's his own brain.
It's just his own id, yeah.
His manifestation of Addison is sort of pointing out the drink and the soup and all the pieces that we were given, but sort of putting the pieces together.
Yeah. So his subconscious was putting it together all along.
Right. Which is great. Very cool. Another upvote from me. I like this a lot.
Yes, I did too.
You want to upvote it?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. And then he's realizing, okay, someone has something to gain from this girl's death and Aunt Tessa's death. All right. Now he's sort of figured it out, right? And he's starting looking for a passageway. Someone had to come in to help kill Aunt Tessa, or to kill Aunt Tessa, right?
Lift her up, yeah.
Right. And it goes to that person's room, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, bottom line is, this is what happened. Stargate alum, what's her name?
Elise Levesque.
Yeah. So, Lola Gray, her husband lost all of his money on a deal that his brother talked him into. They lost all their money because his brother
And he lost his job.
talked him into a bad deal and lost his job. Aunt Tessa has a lot of money. Aunt Tessa has been giving away to charity for years and years and years. Aunt Tessa changed the will the day they argued and put all the money going to Daisy Gray, right?
Right.
So who has the benefit now from this? Well, Daisy Gray's mother, right?
No, it's actually not the mother. It's the uncle.
Is the uncle working on
She cut her other son out, and so if Daisy, she gave it to Daisy first, and if Daisy doesn't get it, then her other son gets it.
Right. Exactly. You're right. Thank you. Yeah, we find out later on that he was operating for the mother,
Which was a nice twist too, because I didn't see that coming. Which we'll upvote that when it comes.
Yes. So he figures out that someone's going to benefit from this. I like the encyclopedia thing.
I like it. A little BS on it, a little bit. Only because it wouldn't have been that easy to find it. I used to have those encyclopedias, and it was not that easy to necessarily find. What do you look under? Like
J, right?
Plants that I don't know.
Yeah, I guess he had just find a J plant that also had a hallucinogenic properties, I guess.
Yeah, I like the idea of using and that was another thing. Like, what was the point of saying he was an encyclopedia salesman? Other than that was a popular job at the time.
Right, it was.
Which it was, but also that it played into the story. It's just another way that good writing is being done here.
Right.
The
original internet, I like that.
It was.
It was, yeah. I remember reading the encyclopedia. All right, so they figured out what's wrong, and he comes up to this plan basically to get the person involved to confess and to bring the constable over. And he plays
because of the death, yeah.
Right. And so he plays the whole, the drama aspect up, there's a spirit telling me whatever, it doesn't matter. It's revealed that the uncle was the one who killed Aunt Tessa because of the will, and then it was revealed that he did it for Lola Gray because he's always loved her and she didn't want to be a mom. She wanted to go to Hollywood or whatever.
Well, and that was something earlier, and this is why this episode's so great. So give me another upvote here for this twist, because this episode was great. She made a very small comment about wanting to be a famous Hollywood actress earlier in the episode. Just the little things that were dangling there that they actually clean it all up in the end, and they give everything a purpose. I just thought was really well done.
Yes, very well done. I'm gonna give it a vote too. And I love Stargate actors. And she did well. So, good job, Elise. Can't pronounce your name. All right, they figure it out. And they say Ben saves the day. And that's when we go back. And this scene, they refresh the Reddit post. Mm-hmm. And it's a 404. It's a 404 page.
That was good. That was clever.
Yeah, that's clever. So 404 means that whatever you're looking for is no longer there. Or it could also mean that it was never there from the beginning.
Right.
So he refreshed his browser basically, and time had changed. My thing is, why didn't time change for them?
What do you mean?
Like, time didn't change. Like, they remember looking it up. Time changed for everyone else, but not for them.
That's a good point. Like, how do they remember?
I always thought that, they remembered
yeah.
because Addison was there with them while it was happening.
Interesting. I don't know. That is a good question, because you're right. It would be, they wouldn't know. Well, I guess because they know Ben's traveling through time. Maybe, and it doesn't change the thing. Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
So the way other time travel shows do it is usually like they're protected by a relativity field because they're in the spaceship or in the time area, whatever. There's usually a reason for it. They don't even try to explain it here. Like, this is...
Yeah, it's not even a science, so...
I know, but there should be some explanation. Maybe it's not. Maybe they remember because they're operating with Ziggy, and Ziggy sees pretty much everything because he's outside.
He's in the middle of a leap, right? So
Ziggy's tracking him.
They're explaining the time change, or they're experiencing. Well, they experience all the different things, so they wouldn't have forgotten that it happened, right?
I mean, that browser shouldn't even exist anymore. I mean, there should be some explanation there. Even a throwaway line about Ziggy is experiencing all the variables, so we're able to track those variables in real time.
I don't know.
I'm not going to give it a down vote. I'm just saying it's a little... I thought that immediately. When I was like, oh, cool. Oh, wait a minute. That was immediately what I did.
The argument, though, that they would have forgotten that they were looking...
I mean, everyone else forgot.
Never looked in the first place.
Everyone on that Reddit forgot. This was the problem with bringing Reddit into the equation. Now there's an entire group of people that also forgot about this because time changed.
Well, so by extension, though, you're right. That's a good point but by extension, because of Ben, somehow this Quantum Leap project must, by extension, extend the ability to understand time change. Otherwise, you'd have all kinds of situations like anything that happened, that might have affected Addison's timeline or any of these guys' timeline, something he changes would be, we'd be dealing with that every week.
Yeah, that's why there should have been. I feel like there should be a throwaway line about the mainframe being hooked up to Ziggy and Ziggy's able to,
I think this is the time we have to suspend disbelief because, let's say he saves somebody, he keeps the Titanic from sinking or something, Is everybody going to, he's going to, when she comes back, does everybody forget that the Titanic never sank? So I guess we just have to.
Yeah, is there no Titanic movie? If there's no Titanic movie, does James Cameron become a famous director?
Well, my point is that there's no.
Does he then make Avatar? Wait, and then he doesn't make Avatar, and I don't have to hear these insipid, artistically inept and bankrupt people on the internet telling me how great Avatar is all the time.
He was famous after Terminator.
Okay, there. So you know what? So him saving Titanic. Yeah, I still get Avatar. That's what you're telling me.
Possibly, yeah.
Damn
possibly.
it.
Although Titanic really made it sink in.
No pun intended.
Right.
Did you mean to say that way?
Of course.
All right. So 404, they realize that Ben, he did it. He's going to leap. They're happy. That's cool. All right. So she gets no closure on that, though. She doesn't get to go back and talk to Ben.
No.
I would still be stressed out a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
A little bit. You don't know where he's... Yeah, but I guess Ziggy can track him.
Right. And this is when we get the ghost. Here, I'll try to play it without getting wrecked. Here we go. Oh. Hold up. Let me go off this screen so I can play it in real time.
You can check it out.
Yeah.
No, because I think it's important. This scene, they really, I totally didn't get it. They needed to have her come swirling up out of the bed. In that moment, in that shot, they should have went back and did the visual effects to have that.
Yeah.
Unless I missed it.
Yeah. So here it is. It's so brief. You're right. It should have been better. Here we go. Ready? And you'll see it just for a second. Ready? Here we go. And clip. See,
I was confused. When that happened, I was confused. They really needed a little more. It might have been hard to do. Might have been expensive or something, but they really needed her to come out of the bed, have that blackness come out of the bed and then turn into Janis. Would have been great.
Yeah. I mean, they sort of did it, but it was so quick.
A little bit. Yeah. You get
I can't, it's so fast. I can't even pause it in enough time.
Although it does say, I have been trying to reach you all day. I guess it was just one little step removed. You would have really had to go, oh, ha, she's been trying. Maybe she must have been that thing. I don't know. To me, it was well,
when I saw that she blinked in from the black smoke, I realized that, or at least that's the connection I put together. I mean, I guess I could technically be wrong, and they could have used the wrong effect for that and then threw us off.
I think you're right. I mean, I think she was obviously that thing, but I just, it would have been nice to see it come from the bed and, have it would have been cool actually to have Ben like freak out for a second because he knows he's not hallucinating.
I mean, he sort of does. When he turns around here, he's like, "Wait a minute, what's this about?"
Nah, not good enough freak out. You gotta a little bit more like, it is real. It would have been it was a missed opportunity to have it be like, what, or something, and to really have that overreaction.
You know what's crazy is it's so fast that I literally can't pause it.
Like it should have taken longer. This is a production mistake.
Right. I'm trying desperately to pause it on the black smoke. I'm almost there. Come on.
I can see it, but it just, I guess my brain just didn't register them together.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I got it. Woo. There it is. You can sort of see your face in there. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. You're right. It's not enough. It should have came. Yeah, you're right. And I got, it's going to be downvote, I guess. I love the concept of the demon being Janice trying to break through. That's super rad, but there's a mistake made here.
Yeah.
If she had come out of the bed and had similar glowing eyes, and then it sort of like would have formed into a blinking Janice.
That'd have been cool.
The whole audience would have been like, "Oh, snaps.
Yeah, it would have been. They really lost an opportunity to really just like blow people away, I think, here.
Right. Yeah, they made a mistake.
And I'm going to give an upvote overall because I think the episode was a great episode.
Yep, I agree.
And I enjoyed the heck out of this episode.
Writing was very good. Writing was great. He does, next week, we got a little preview here because he does leap into someone also named Ben.
Right. Not him, though.
Obviously not him. They're trying to escape a school of some sort? I don't really know.
I don't think it's a school. It looks like it's a camp, like maybe a
Sierra Youth Academy.
Yeah, so it's probably like a parent send your kid off to military school kind of thing.
Maybe it's a cult. I mean, there is not a Sierra Youth Academy, so.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been cool. To copy something. All right, moving on.
There is a Sierra Youth League.
Yeah. They're probably not going to take the real thing.
Oh, it's funny because the Sierra Youth Academy, there is a Sierra Youth Academy. It's part of the Stanford project. That's interesting. Probably not the same thing.
Relate.
All right. So, yeah, that's it. Great episode. Great story. We loved it. It looks like our score here is pretty much a rock solid 5. I liked it more than Shane, which is...
Well, I think you had a couple of more upvote moments than I did. I really liked the episode overall, but I also had a few downvotes, so that's why it got...
That's true. Yeah, I had a downvote too. All right, well, that's it, though.
5's a great score.
Yeah, 5 is a great score. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you guys think about this episode? Are you excited about next week? Are you stoked about the Janice thing? And have you watched our video? The link is in the description. Click it. Go there. And you know what? We'll also make sure that it's at the end of this video in that very first video frame, where it's like dun 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 dun. That one. Go there.
One that's probably showing now. Yeah.
It's about to show right now.